Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Conversations with Love to inspire joyful action. Today's amazing guest is Dame Sandra Biskind, a woman I met in September of 2019, before the great year of the COVID 2019 and the whole year of 2020, where she and her husband, Daniel Biskind, provided support, spiritual support, emotional support, mental support for thousands of people around the world, all at her own and his own expense. Sandra, this is an honor and a privilege to be with you today. I am so grateful. Thank you.
Wow, actually, it's my honor to be with you, Lee. I mean, you are an absolutely brilliant student, and you're obviously a master and a leader in your own right. So I actually feel honored that you asked me to be here. But thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to start by I'm just going to ask a few questions, because many people don't know you and aren't familiar with you. Just a quick, I want to just bring in Codebreaker. I want to make sure that it's front and center. So the Codebreaker book and the journal, the accompanying journal, is a life system. And what is so wonderful about a system is it works in tandem with all the other systems. So if we think about our very good body and all of the systems that make our very good body function, Codebreaker is like, it's like this shot of an elevator into that perfect alignment, and all the systems just naturally function together beautifully. I'm not going to speak about it because I want you to, but I'll just say the code word, which is platinum. And platinum stands for, and I want everybody to take a deep breath on every word and just feel it from your feet up to your toes. Platinum stands for peace, which is your foundation, the ground upon which you walk. Love, how you relate to life, yourself, and others. Awareness. Now think of this as the power of the sun inside your belly, and it is your guidepost for everything. Your heart and your brain are in coherence, and your divine mind code is functioning optimally. Trust, which is the seat of your soul in your very heart. Integrity, every word you speak, every thought you think, every action you take is filled with that integrity in perfect alignment. Neutrality. Now this one sort of sits in between awareness and mindfulness, and it's the way of looking at life through the lens of peace, love, awareness, trust, and integrity. And then you just make every move the right way. Unity, which is knowing that all is one. And mindfulness, the platinum Codebreaker system. So that is their seminal work and the work that they bring to the world. And on the 15th of March, Sandra is beginning a summit with 10 or 11 thought leaders. 15 thought leaders.
Yes.
Amazing people, Jack Canfield, Dr. Christiane Northrup, amazing human beings. I wouldn't be surprised if you brought the Dalai Lama on, just because it wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Well, maybe in the next one.
Okay. So tell me about you, Sandra Biskind. Tell us about you a little bit, because this is just an amazing offering that you're giving the world and that you've given the world all this year. I know for a fact my life would not be as good as it is had I not been part of your Unstoppable Life and the Platinum System. Codebreaker is also available on Audible, everybody, because listen, you get it read by Sandra and Daniel.
You know, Lee, just listening to you, you just described Platinum, our 8 souls superpowers, better than I ever have in the 2 years since we launched our legacy work in the form of Codebreaker. So thank you so much, because you actually broke it down to make it, this is the essence of who we are when we're not being driven by unconscious programs. I guess in answer to your question about tell you a little bit about me, I think I'm going to start with a little girl who used to talk to divine beings every night. And when I asked my mummy, what does she talk to Jesus about every night, she really had to sidestep. She went into shock and she went, oh, what do you talk to him about? Because we were not brought up in a religious family, and that name hadn't even been, used in our family. And I was 3. So most 3-year-olds are talking to divine beings, actually, but they kind of lose it along the way, a lot of them. I never ever lost the ability to connect with the divinity within myself. I never ever lost the ability to connect with divine beings who have really made it their mission and purpose to help and serve humanity. And so, I mean, obviously I went through so many stages in my life. At 18, I almost died. I had my left ovary and a few other things cut out of my body. And I knew that I would not be able to have children. And I was really neutral. I mean, at 18, I was quite neutral. And you use the word neutrality, and neutrality is one of my favorite words. And it's another way of saying enlightenment. It's another way of talking about being the silent observer of what is without being triggered. So I was neutral at that stage. I have gone through phases over the last 50 years where I've gone, oh, I would have loved to have had my own children. But, and then 3 months after I almost died, my mother was killed in hospital. She was given 18 pints of another woman's blood, and they just kept giving it to her and giving it to her and giving it to her, and she bled out and died. And that was 10 days before her 42nd birthday. And that changed the course of my life and the life of everyone in our family. It was like we were going on this beautiful road, and all of a sudden the road just went hard right or hard left, and it was just over. I left school, really jumped into my parents' business in the fashion industry, and within 2 years I'd helped my father sell it. I'd married a man 10 years older than me, and I couldn't get a job, so I started my own business, as you would if you can't get a job, right, at 20 years old. So at 20, I opened my own first fashion boutique, and a lot of businessmen in my town said, "Oh, she's a stupid little girl. She'll be broke within 6 months," because we had chosen to open this business in a townhouse away from the retail area. And we called it Townhouse, by the way. It was also called Townhouse. And so truly, 25 years later, 7 more boutiques and my own label, I guess I proved those men wrong. And so if anybody listening to this has ever tried to do anything or had a dream or known that you are going to put yourself in and commit to something, don't let anybody tell you that you're going to go broke, it's not going to work. I mean, if you've got a mentor that really breaks it all down for you, great. But I had a vision. That people would come to this place. It would be a home. There'd be couches and tea and coffee and champagne for the women. It would be a place where people came to gather confidence and look the best they can possibly look. So I wasn't opening a normal business. And I think that's been the secret to my success in every business that I've been into since then, is that none of it's normal. And so when you start thinking outside the box, in other words, for me, that was like divine downloads. I just wait to hear what I'm meant to do. What am I meant to do? How's it meant to happen? And I can tell you at the age of 27, after really, really finding the courage to leave a marriage that had become quite abusive, I understood that I was in trouble. I was in real trouble. I had been in this nightmare state. I'd been working my heart out for 7 years in that business. And I thought, what am I going to do? How am I going to get through this? And I started meditating, and I was invited into a spiritual healing circle, which, Lee, it's like when you were invited in to work with us, it's almost like, wow. And you know what? Nothing could keep me away from that spiritual circle and the mentors that I had the honor of being mentored by at that stage. And they changed the course of my life again. Mm-hmm. And although I was still in the fashion industry for another 20 years, right throughout that, my passion for all things spiritual, for inner knowledge, for enlightenment was so great that of course, eventually I ended up selling my businesses, my home. I left my house, my car, my cat, my boyfriend, my family, and everything in Australia to move to New Zealand to marry an American man who I met at one of my channeling and meditation evenings, who you have met, Daniel Biskind, right? And that was the beginning of a right and a left turn. It's like everything changed again. And we ended up designing and creating and building a resort in the Bay of Islands in New Zealand called Eagle's Nest. And it was where people came to work with us on the spiritual level, personal development level from all over the world. But in its day job, it was a luxury retreat. And it won the world's best luxury coastal hotel in 2010, which was, it was such a, I went to Thailand to the red carpet awards, and I had no idea that that we had won that. And of course, I'm sitting there I'm surrounded by all of these men from some of the most fabulous hotels in the world, Singapore, Hong Kong, all over the world. And they're all, the people at our table were getting prizes, and I was the only one that hadn't. And at the end, these men looked at me and they said, "Oh, I think she's at the wrong table." And I thought, yeah, I must be. And the very, very last prize, which was for the world's best luxury coastal hotel, was awarded to Eagle's Nest in New Zealand. And they all just looked at me like, what? And it was one of those jaw-dropping moments that I thought, oh, this is it again, isn't it? It's like the little girl and people who not understanding what it is that we as women, and of course with the men in our lives, can co-create. And so that was pretty fabulous. But in the global financial crisis, we lost everything. We were actually forced to sell Eagle's Nest, and it's still working now exactly as our dream had it working. And we left with next to nothing. We were homeless. Our family and friends took us in. It was a really tough time. That's another U-turn, right? How many turns can you have in any given life? Right. We asked for divine guidance. What are we meant to be doing? And we got, you have to move to America. And I've gone, oh no, please, not leave my family in Australia again. So yes, third country now. I've moved here. And by the way, Daniel was pleased because his family all live in the USA. So he was really happy. And within 2 weeks of landing here, we met a man called Jack Canfield. And we were at one of his masterminds, and he just put his book and paper down and looked at us and said, I know you, and I want to work with you. I want to play with you. I want you to be in the Transformational Leadership Council. I want you to work with my staff. I'm going to bring you, all of a sudden, this man changed our life again, because here we were unknown in the country. But because Jack loved the energy frequency that we were showing up at, loved the spiritual wisdom, the gifts that we were bringing to the table, and loved the way we worked with him, his students, his family, that all of a sudden people around the world were starting to hear about us. And, you know, it's often the people that you know that again put you on another track. And Jack certainly did that for us. And everyone that you get to watch in the summit next week, everyone that you get to, you know, there's 3 30-minute sessions a day, a 9 a.m. interview, a 1 p.m. interview, and a 5 p.m. meditation. Mm-hmm. And every person that you get to listen to, you'll have this aha moment, and where they're sharing from their heart, quite vulnerable too, by the way. A lot of them said to us, wow, we've never done that before. It's like that frequency was like they opened up and they spoke and said things that other people that they hadn't done on other experiences like this. And so after every interview, Daniel and I would just look at each other and go, wow. And I can hardly wait for your feedback, Lee, because I know that you're going to have that wow. And what we realized that we couldn't have this as an ordinary, naturally, as just another summit, because that's not the way we do things. And we understood that if we could create an energy field that was so powerful during this week that would unlock the unconscious mind, and in unlocking the unconscious mind, it would allow people to absorb the information on a whole other level. They could absorb it, they could utilize it. It would actually become bioavailable to them.
Wow.
And in that bioavailability, they're going to make aha shifts, aha moments into real transformational. And that's the big difference between this experience and other summits. And of course, the meditations at the end of the day, we're going to be collating information from the 2 interviews and creating a meditation where, again, we're going to take you deeper into absorbing the information so that your cellular structure goes, oh, I've got this. Have you ever been somewhere and someone's been speaking, you go, yeah, I've got this. It's like I've done that with mentors. I'm going, hey, I've got this. I mean, and I actually felt like it was a part of who I am rather than benign information. So I guess you could say that through many, many deaths, through many changes of country, through personal trauma, almost 30 surgeries, a lot of pain, here I am, about to turn 68 this year, and really, really feeling younger, more vital, more energetic, more able to share who I have come here to be and share than at any other time. So for all of the women listening to this, of course the men, but for all of the women especially, know that as time goes by, you will be accruing the wisdom and the ability to love and serve that you didn't even know that you had come here to do. And I find that really exciting.
That is so exciting. So much of what you've said, it just pulls it into integrity. That word is so important to me.
Me too.
And that being state. So if just listening to your story, thank you so much for sharing so openly. You never do anything part way.
No.
And you give it all you've got, everything you've got. And then if you don't think you've got it, you go find it.
Exactly.
So
and that's what I'm doing too, Lee. I mean, I've watched you in the last, 18 months, mm-hmm. and you're a very different woman now than what you were then, and you were pretty fabulous then. And the growth has just been huge. And I want to acknowledge that.
Well, it's like you said, we can have so many unconscious programs. And what does unconscious mean? Let's just kind of talk about that a little bit, because I think it's central to what you're saying. What you've created during this time of COVID is like the lifeline. You know, throw us that lifeline, because everyone's been through the same thing this year. We've been through huge loss, a trauma, and we've been able to face our fears differently. And with that spiritual connection, that true, natural human connection to that which is greater than the sum of all of our parts, and to do it consciously is such a beautiful gift. The idea of bioavailability is very intriguing to me, and I'm guessing that it might have something to do with your connection to a company you found called LifeWave. I believe you're interviewed Dave Schmidt on one of the programs, yes?
David Schmidt is a brilliant scientist, and he's on day 1BM, day one.
Okay.
And bioavailability to me is like this biological acceptance and ability to transmute information, make it a part of who you are. And when you're bringing up LifeWave, our work, when we work in the deep unconscious, I actually have dubbed that healing by the speed of thought, because it means that our thoughts create our emotional reality, which create our frequency, which create whether we repel or attract happiness and success. I mean, that's just science. And so that science isn't disputable. And this scientist has downloaded the invention that he has brought to the world, where he's got these patches that I call now healing by the speed of light rather than thought. There they are, right? So Lee, you are so smart. So what happens with Lee, by the way, we'll be giving away a pack of X39 patches, which is $150 retail. There is a tiny little patch. We'll be giving a sleeve of 30 of those away every day during the summit, and as a gift just for participation. Now, what's inside? People go, what's inside the gift? What's inside the patch, right? And people know when I'm working with them, when I give people a quantum correction, I'm going deep inside to access the ancestral and the past life and the conditioning of who you are. With these patches, what they're doing is he's worked out a way to harness nanocrystals of high frequency information with amino acid, right there in that white paper. They're nanocrystals of high frequency information. They're amino acids, oxygen, water, and sugar. And when they hit your skin, your own body's light energy goes into the patch, activates the information in the patch, and that activates then the information being relayed right through the entire body. And X39's job is to activate copper peptide within our bloodstream, which then elongates our telomeres and replenishes and regenerates our stem cells, which, by the way, they start degrading at age 25. So by 75, there are not too many left. I wish I had started using those patches at the age of 40, but anyway, it's okay, because my skin, my hair, my energy, my rapid wound healing, everything is just like top notch right now. Mm-hmm. And have you got one on the back of your neck?
I'm just going to put it on right now.
Go girl. Yeah, right. And the other great thing about the X39 patch, of course, is that, and this is one reason why, a number of reasons why I was so thrilled when David Schmidt said that he would be a sponsor of this energy summit, because their energy medicine, it just makes certain that if we're all energy and we are all that, then it only makes sense that we would be using energy thought processes, emotional realities, quantum information, and energy patches to actually heal and recalibrate and reboot our lives. And so X39 has been a lifeline for me. I have felt very safe and protected during COVID, because viruses cannot live in a copper environment. And every day when you put that patch on for 12 hours a day, and you drink lots of water to allow the energy to move through your body, you are creating a copper environment that the cold, flu, that, COVID, they don't like that environment, so they are not going to flourish. Very, very important information. And of course, in that life wave, this scientist has only just released this X39 in the last 2 years. It's very new to the world. But before that, it's a 15-year-old company. He created a glutathione patch that activates the liver, activating glutathione for 72 hours. Carnosine. There's about 8 different patches. And there's even one for horses, which I know that the people in my family who have horses have just been, to see these horses, the pain relief, the extra energy, even the prancing when they've got those patches on is just pretty fantastic. So I'm hooked, lined, and sunk into this technology, this energy technology. I never ever thought that on this planet, in the time that I was alive, that I would actually discover a product with this much integrity, with this much efficacy, and the efficiency of it. So the testimonials, how people are reacting to LifeWave blows apart anything that I ever thought possible. And I have needed, by the way, doctors all of my life, in that I've had so many surgeries, and some of them saved my life. So 2 of them, without 2 of them, I wouldn't be here. So I love doctors, and I love the fact that they're so smart with surgery and everything. I don't love drugs. So I really had to, for me, finding this drug-free, chemical-free alternative to regeneration and rejuvenation was so profound and so important. You have to watch David Schmidt at 1 p.m. John Gray is on it at 9 a.m., by the way, day one, and he's into all of this health, alternative medicine, by the way, and has been for years. He wears the X39. And then you get to hear David Schmidt, and it's like, oh, wow, okay.
Yes.
I love this man. I just adore him.
Well, it's so exciting when we connect with people who are expanding. He is a true scientist. He's constantly expanding the knowledge base and sharing it. It's not a secret. This is not some secret society that's only for the limited few. It's really available to all of us. And as we become more platinum, more aligned with this higher nature, I can't explain it any other way.
It's really, isn't it? It's who you really are. Platinum is who you are.
It's like the best of who I am. Yes. It's the best of me. And it's also steeped in love. There can be no fear. There can be no disease. None of these problems that humanity's created can exist in a state of love. And what I'm hearing you talk about with the telomeres and the DNA and the idea that if we can activate the gene that is passed down from my lineage, for example, with cancers and breast cancers, and we know that this disease is because of anger that's repressed. It's a disease of an angry mind. It's a disease of a closed heart. And we have the capacity to eradicate that activation and change it. We just flip the script from anger and fear, and we flip it to love and expansion. And wow, what comes out of it? Who could ever have imagined? Could Einstein have imagined this? Probably when he was playing the violin.
But we have for decades, scientists have been trying to figure out a way to activate copper peptide, and they haven't. Yeah. You said something interesting too. It's not a secret society. Well, guess what? It was going to be. So the US government employed a lot of scientists and asked them to come up with something that the Navy SEALs could use in the mini-subs during war. And it had to be drug-free, chemical-free. It had to be light, easy, that they could all use to help them sleep better, accelerated wound healing, give them more energy, instant energy if they needed to go to battle. And David came up with the energy enhancer patches for that. Now, what happened, something very, very sad happened. 9/11 happened right then. And the US government decided to go to war. And so they actually scrapped all of the scientific stuff and said, we're not focusing on that right now. David Schmidt was able to bring his technology to the public because of that. So otherwise, the American military would be the only area where these patches would be available. And now the whole world has access to it. By the way, when you said about the cancer gene, you know, when we do these quantum corrections that we do, we turn off those genes. And when you can turn them off from expressing that way, I worked with a lot of women with cancer, even 40 years ago, and I asked them all the same question, and they all gave me the same answer, Lee. I said, why do you have this? And they must have thought this was a stupid question, but guess what? Not one of them said that. Everyone gave me the same version of the same answer. They all said, because I don't love myself enough. And you said that love heals everything, and that is the case. When we continue to live in a place of fear and anxiety and worry, we are actually turning on the emotional and the DNA. We're accessing DNA that turns on the gene that brings about the disease. And so that's why when we combine the healing by the speed of thought with the quantum corrections, and then we combine it with the healing by the speed of light, the LifeWave patch system, you can feel safe. You can actually feel this. Our conversations with joy and love just start to be more joyous, more loving, because the fear is like, oh, what have I got to fear? Nothing. You know, what you know, what's my ancestors had their own programs. They had their own genetic reality. It's not mine. They're not my stories, right? And so we can do U-turns all of the time. And I'm doing U-turns daily. You know, the moment that I start to feel, and I teach our students this, the moment that you start to feel fear, negativity, or pain, you know you're hooked into a story. You know the unconscious mind is dominant. And then the moment you go, hang on, this is just a story, now what's real? You actually change you change your reality, you change your frequency, you change everything.
Okay, you've mentioned frequency quite a few times. How would you describe that?
Yeah, I love, truly my favorite word, just about, because, you know, Nikola Tesla, who was the man who was described as the man who lit up the world, the genius who lit up the world, he said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, if you think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency, then you will know the secrets of the world. And when scientists start focusing there, they will make more strides in the next decade than they have up until this point. And that's because everything is energy. All energy has a frequency, and that's why this is so important. Every thought that you think has a frequency, an oscillating frequency. You can actually see it. And when you're hooked up to EEG machines, when you're hooked up to heart machines, every thought that you think has a wavelength, a frequency. And that frequency either uplifts us or it starts to sabotage us, depending on the thought, right? That's why the patches are so high frequency. The information in them is very high frequency. So frequency to me is everything. It's what, when you're showing up as the best version of you, when you're living a platinum life, when you're really, really diligent, you are such a high frequency that things start to flow with grace and ease into your life. You decide to make a podcast, and you decide to invite all of the wonderful people in the world onto it. When you're in a high frequency, life begins to flow with grace and ease. When you're in a low frequency, It's like you've got a glass ceiling on your ability to be happy and manifest the life you want. So yes, frequency is a real thing. It's measurable, and it has one of the greatest impacts on our lives of anything else.
And so then, what would you suggest to someone who's just beginning out? Maybe they're maybe not ready to totally shift their lives, and they have certain beliefs that they feel very strongly about. What do you say to someone who has never had an experience where they felt sovereign, where they felt they were in charge of their lives, that they were connected to a higher power, that they've never really felt what love is, maybe even?
Yeah.
What can we give to those people who, because they all have a heart?
Yeah, we do. And you know what? The reason why a lot of people don't understand and haven't had the inner experience of joy, of being love, and knowing that they're a sovereign divine being, is because they haven't really stopped to go inside. When you start meditating, and by the way, this is one reason why we do free meditations twice a week, because I know people who start meditating for the first time, they go through a guided meditation with us and they go, how come I've never done this before? and all of a sudden, they've tapped into another aspect of who they are that is so much more powerful than anything that the conscious mind could bring into their experience. Because when you go inward, when you find that place of peace within you, you're opening a door to your true self, allowing you to bring in divine guidance, these feelings of peace, joy, and love. And you start to understand that you are an incredible, unique, perfect, divine, high-frequency being, and that you are that love that you have been seeking. So start meditating first. Find your mentor, whoever that is. Get yourself a mentor with absolute integrity that you can trust, and glue yourself to their feet. Like, do their programs, do the work that you want to do with them, because when you do that, they will take you on a spiritual journey that will change the landscape of your relationships, your business, everything. And that's what a spiritual mentor is meant to do. They work on every single level of your existence. And by the way, that's the reason why Daniel and I have we've created a spiritual journey where we start with the free meditations and the summit, so that anybody around the world, regardless of what their budget is, their financial situation, they can start this journey. And then we go into a 21-day Unstoppable Life program that's under $500. And that's like, wow, that's a huge leap, because during that 21 days, nothing ever is the same after that. And then we go into the Platinum Life Manifest Your Abundant Reality program, which is 8 weeks. And boy, that's where you get to master each of your soul's own superpowers. And probably more importantly, you get to master what blocks you from being able to live there. And then we go in at the end of the year to a quantum neutrality process training, where we train people to do the quantum corrections. And this is a brand new program. We want as many people as possible to be able to tap into their inner guidance, to really do what we do for people, use it in their own life, their coaching, wherever they can. So we've created this year of spiritual mentorship, and it's open for people all year long. And we're very excited about it. It's actually, the 2021 is the first year where we've created it's almost like a spiral staircase where you're ascending. This is an ascension process, where every time you take on another program, you take on another level of ascension out of the 3D reality of anxiety, fear, worry, unforgiveness, into a 5D reality of this expanded mind, open heart, and joy.
Well, I can think of nothing better than to create love and joy. Sounds like the great thing to do.
Yeah.
That is really exciting. So let me just see if I understood you correctly and make sure. So what you're offering to people right now, starting this coming Monday, the 15th of March,
Yes.
you have a week-long free, entirely free program
Yes.
where you are interviewing and sharing the wisdom of 15 luminaries in the world in the fields of medicine, science, spirituality, government, sustainable living, you name it, you've got them there. And so 9 o'clock in the morning, you're having an interview. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're having an interview. 5 o'clock in the afternoon is the guided meditation for the day to kind of ground in and integrate. So that's what I'm seeing is, so that's the beginning. So for 5 days, you're conducting this leadership summit.
Actually, it's a whole week.
7 days.
Yeah. So, and on the seventh day, we're calling it the grand finale day because it is a grand finale, right? 9 a.m. is Jack Canfield. 1 p.m. is Dr. Christian Northrup, who is the most incredible MD, amazing. By the way, we said there were only 30-minute interviews, but we couldn't stop. So that's a 60-minute interview with her. Michelle Patterson, another 60-minute interview, because she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer 2 years ago with 90 days to live, and she takes us on this journey, and it is not to be missed. And then at 5 o'clock, we're doing a 60-minute masterclass called From Sabotage to Success, where we'll actually be doing quantum corrections, picking out past lives, all the things that you've just heard me talk about, we'll be doing in that hour-long masterclass. And then as a bonus, because we can't stop giving, we're going to be doing 2 more of those masterclasses live every time next week, the week after.
Okay. That is a huge gift. And you're giving away multiple prizes, so people have the opportunity to join Unstoppable Life, the 21-day program, which you're going to have after the summit. And then, so one of the participants is asking for the website to enroll. So I just posted the website to enroll for the Leadership Summit. Right. Unstoppable Life Leadership Summit, and I will also post it on Facebook. So make sure you sign up. It's totally free. I mean, this is just amazing to me. I know you can get your book. Now, you've got several websites. Which website do you think is the best one to send people to? At the moment,
I'm really happy. I've just focused on our website. I've got a new homepage, really set it up for the summit. And it's called thebiskinds.com. So that's TheBiskinds, thebiskinds.com. If you go there, everything that we are doing, everything that we are offering as spiritual mentors, coaches, business and relationship masters, really, after 40 years of doing the one thing, you actually or you're allowed to step into the mastership world, right? Everything that you could possibly want and all the information is in there. And you can even go to our events page and see all of the rest of them that I've described as well.
Well, this is just so exciting, Sandra. I just realized something. What you and Daniel have given to me this past year is the recognition to see myself as others see me. So how does love see me? Love sees me as love.
Ah, beautiful. Exactly.
And so if the world sees me as that, I can only see myself as that as well. And that's what quieting your mind and allowing yourself to be that, to just be who you really are. And in 5 minutes of meditation, you can transform your life. Would you be willing to just give us a 5-minute?
Sure. Why don't we just do a few minutes, and we'll just, so everybody, whether you're live or you're going to be watching the replay of this, you're going to have exactly the same benefit. So why don't we just all close our eyes and take a few deep breaths. And the reason why I'm asking you to close your eyes is so that you can go in to that beautiful inner realm of your own heart without outside influences. So just breathing deeply, breathe in and breathe out. Use your imagination and imagine a column of white light coming in and down and through you, pulling at your feet. And this divine white light is you. It's your true self. And as it continues to move through your body, it begins to expand the mind and open the heart to the love that you are. Breathe in and breathe out. And if you have any aches or pains at the moment in your body, just allow this energy to move through those areas and move that energy out and down to your feet. Focus on your back, your shoulders, just drop your shoulders. And if there's anywhere at all where you are suffering, allow this white light, this knowledge and wisdom of the truth of who you are to move through you as you. Breathing in and breathing out. And right now, let's just neutralize and delete out of your system any of the stories that would stop you from understanding who you are. Any of the fears or anxieties that have sabotaged your ability to live in joy and wonder, love and peace. Let's have all of that energy, all of those stories come out and down to the bottom of your feet and have them transmuted and sent back to source healed. Breathe in and breathe out. And in your own time, when you're ready, you can stretch out your body. Just stretch it out. Open your eyes and come back into the room with us.
Amazing.
It doesn't take long to come back to yourself. Just a few minutes.
Just a few minutes. And one of the things that Codebreaker is so famous for is we have like several codes. So we can either work from
the ego
mind code, our ego mind code, which is very limiting because it only operates from fear. It's like a fear mechanism, if you will. And then the divine mind code, which is the integration of all of everything we are, and then more because it never stops. So the more you learn, the more you grow, the more you realize that it is infinite. Your life is infinite. One of my favorite things in the Codebreaker book is talking to your ego puppy and embracing the parts of you that have kept you safe and little and perhaps contracted and not quite living your fullest. Like, I mean, you've created 3, now you're on your 4th extraordinary business venture that had nothing to do with each other. They're totally separate ideas, yet you know how to do all of these things and you've done them all so well. So one of the things that you suggest in Codebreaker is to say to your ego puppy, you call it an ego puppy, it's absolutely adorable, and you just say to your ego puppy, sit, stay, be still, listen, and learn. And then you have your ego puppy just focus on your breathing. And what happens is truly extraordinary, because when you had said, let all of the negative or stuck emotions just go through your feet, that's exactly what I did. And I could just allow my ego puppy to listen to my breath, and then everything just happens so naturally. We only have a few minutes, and I absolutely must read something from Codebreaker. Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
So this is one of the most beautiful books I've ever read, by the way. And people, if you get it on Audible, you get these meditations. So there are meditations to open and activate your peace gene and your love gene and your awareness gene and your trust gene and your integrity gene and your neutrality gene and your unity gene and your mindfulness gene. And by the time you get that pillar of platinum going, holy Toledo, there's nothing going to stop you. I guarantee it.
This is the most joyous, love-filled interview I've ever done, by the way. Gorgeous.
So, Sandra and Daniel Biskind asked Daniel Ladinsky, a translator of a Sufi poet. And some of you may remember I interviewed Kat Parenti, the author of Afghanistan, a memoir from Brooklyn to Kabul. This woman lived in Afghanistan for almost 30 years, and she learned the Sufi mastery. So they have poems by Hafiz. And this one particular got me jumping for joy. And it's called Sahib-e-Zaman. It's by Hafiz from I Heard God Laughing, Poems of Hope and Joy, copyrighted Daniel Ladinsky, used with permission. Just as a normal man can climb a high mountain and on a clear day see for many miles around, Hafiz can stand on a blessed peak inside his heart and see for hundreds of years in all directions. And I tell you, dear ones, that the Sahib-e-Zaman, the Christ, the Prophet, the Ancient One, has made a date to whirl with this earth again. So everybody, please open your hearts. Let Sandra and Daniel Biskind in for a little bit. Consider joining the Leadership Summit next week. And let's whirl and whirl again with this earth in joy, in love, in harmony, in peace, in integrity, in truthfulness, in dignity, in beauty, and in power through divine love.
And wonderful to be here with you. God bless.